What is going on, guys? It's BrianWoldNeverSeeIt.com, and today we're going to make an Atlas stone. Now, to do this amazing feat, you're going to need a couple things. The first is a stone mold. This is a 20-inch Slater stone, which completely filled with concrete should end up about 335 pounds. We will see. This is my first time using a Slater stone. I actually have made all my other stones with hybrid molds, so we're going to see how it goes. Should be good though. You're also going to need some type of silicone-based spray lubricant. You spray this inside the mold so the concrete doesn't stick to the inside and doesn't make getting the mold off of the concrete so terrible. You're also going to need some duct tape. I got Gorilla Tape because it claims it's stronger. Whether it is or not really won't matter. You just need to be able to seal out that stone. A rubber mallet is super useful for tapping the stone to get the air bubbles out so the surface of your stone is not so pocketed and has a bunch of craters in it. Sometimes this works really well, sometimes it doesn't, but I use it anyway. Some other things you're going to need will include a bunch of concrete. How much concrete you're going to need is going to depend on the size of the stone that you're making. I got 5 bags. Might be a little overkill, but you don't want to run short and have to run out to the store while your stone is setting. I got this high strength 5,000 plus concrete mix in hopes that my stone won't break in half. You're also going to need something to mix concrete in and a tool to mix it with. So I've got a standard garden hoe here along with an old wheelbarrow. Should work out well. And of course you're going to need some water to mix concrete. When it comes to actually mixing concrete, it's really not that tough, guys. You simply open the bags, you dump the mix in, and then you add some water and you move it around. But if you guys need more of a detailed instruction on that, you guys are on YouTube. Just go ahead and search that, because I'm not an expert. As far as the actual consistency of the concrete, you don't want it too soupy or too dry. If it's too soupy, it's going to mess up your stone because there's too much water inside there. And if it's too dry, your stone is going to have a bunch of pock marks. And it's not going to turn out the way that you want it with a nice smooth exterior. Hopefully you're a little smarter than me and you keep your water source near where you're actually making your stone. Otherwise you'll end up pushing a heavy wheelbarrow full of water and concrete a quarter of a mile so that you can load up that stone mold. Yay, conditioning. Farmer's walks for the win. You're also going to want a bucket so that you can place your stone mold on top of that so you don't get any flat spots and so it doesn't roll away from you. You also may find it helpful to have a gardening shovel or a little trowel with you just because loading into the stone can take forever, especially when the top of the hole is only that big. Your next step is going to be taking the bottom half of the stone mold and your silicone spray, and then you're going to want to put a pretty generous amount inside there. You're doing this so the concrete doesn't actually stick to your stone mold, because sometimes taking the molds off is not easy at all. Now most people like to take both halves, seal them together with the tape, and then add the concrete to it. However, putting all that concrete in that small little hole at the top will take most of your lifetime. So I like to take the bottom half and fill it part of the way, then add the top part, add the tape, and finish filling the stone. If you're like me and you had to push your wheelbarrow a ways, you'll find that there was more water in the mix than you actually thought there was. If you find this to be the case and your mix is now too soupy, you can always add a little bit more concrete to dry it up a little bit. You might also find it helpful to shake around the mold a little bit to keep air bubbles out and just keep your mix level. Now it's time to add the top half. Hopefully this works. You line up these 2 lines and it should pop right on. Now I'm going to secure it with tape. How much tape you actually have to use to secure your stone is greatly disputed in the strongman community. Some people want to cover the entire mold with tape and some people want to use very little. What I did was I went around the center about 2 or 3 times, then I put these strips linking the top half to the bottom half, and then I went back around the center about 2 or 3 times. It took me an entire roll, but I think if you want to be safe, the heavier your stone is, you probably need more tape. If it's a lighter stone, you probably just need a little less. Theoretically, this is going to hold. Now we need more concrete. And this is where this little shovel is going to come in handy. And here comes the tedious part. I've made quite a few stones, and using a little gardening shovel is a lifesaver. So you shovel some in, and then you can see me kind of stabbing at it, just trying to get the concrete to settle. Then I take my rubber mallet and I gently tap around the bottom and the sides, just trying to get some air bubbles rising to the top. I take a shot here and you can actually see those little light spots rising. Those are future pock marks that are leaving the outside surface of your stone. If you rinse and repeat this process long enough, you will eventually actually fill up that mold. You guys can see kind of water rising to the top. You want to get as much water out of the stone as possible, and eventually it'll be done. Well, there you go. Now we just need to wait about a week, let this thing cook, then we'll take it out of the shell. The bucket holding the stone is barely hanging in there. So for future reference, it may be smarter when making a stone of this size to not use a bucket and use some old tires. We had to stack a bunch of kegs against it in hopes that gravity would not win and the stone would survive. Fast forward to a few days later and the stone did in fact make it. And you can see me hitting it here with a rubber mallet and you will hear a distinctive snapping sound when the concrete releases from the mold. This is a really useful method of freeing that stone, but don't hit it too hard or you'll find yourself crying because your mold will be no more. Then to release the other half, I was just taking a bolt and very gently tapping the edge, and eventually that half just came off. And now we have a stone. And of course, the very first thing you do after you take stone out of the mold is weigh it because you want to know what you ended up with. It weighed in a little heavier than expected at 347 pounds, but I am a happy owner of a new stone. Alright, so now hopefully you guys have some idea how to make an Atlas stone. Let's be completely honest with each other, this isn't that hard. You buy a mold and you shovel some concrete in it. But I hope a couple of those tips did help you guys if you are planning on making your own Atlas stones, and I would seriously encourage that you do. Atlas stones are an awesome addition to your training because you can't fake it. There's no tricks. Either you're strong enough to lift it or you're not. And they look awesome. So now we have the new 350-pound stone addition added to the family. Really excited about it. Can't wait till it dries enough that I can actually pick it up and drop it without it breaking in half. But like I said, I hope you guys found this informative and entertaining. Beg, borrow, and steal to get those molds, but make Atlas stones part of your training. If you guys have questions or another topic that you'd like to see me cover, please leave it in the comment section down below. And we'll see if that happens. Thank you guys so much for watching. Go out and do awesome things, and I will catch up with you next time.